Good evening, welcome to a special Last Bell Boxing edition with SJAM's legend Shane Watson. Good evening, Shane.
My name changes every time, man. I'm a legend now as well. Bloody hell. I can't imagine what I'm going to get called next time, but yeah.
Don't expect no more pleasantries, though. Repeat it, that.
Yeah.
And
on,
also,
are you good?
All good. And also regular Andy as well. So, Shane, obviously we're in the UK, a little bit colder than you are over there. Big news broke today regarding Joe Joyce fighting Big Bang Zhang.
Yeah.
It's not lost on me that he's a southpaw. I'd imagine there's a method to the madness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Break us down the fight and how it come about, Shane.
Yeah, so like me and Adam discussing, and obviously Adam was discussing with the Warrens what we do with Joe moving forward after the Parker fight. Obviously a massive win, a lot of momentum, and it's all about striking while the iron's hot, really. Who can Joe fight in a division that there's a lot of politics around in? There's a lot of fights already made up long before they've happened. Like Fury's always going to fight Usyk this time of year. Joshua is going to need a confidence booster. Dylan White would never want to fight Joe Joyce. Dubois, I'm not even overly sure what's going on with him right now. Hrgovic is waiting to be called as IBF mandatory. Yoka, he's got to do a bit to redeem himself from the Bacoli fight. Bacoli, I don't even know if he's fighting anymore. I don't know what's going on with him. They don't really leave you with a lot of names. And then this way as well, to defend the WBO interim title, you have to be in the top 15 of WBO. So looking at the WBO rankings, there ain't a lot of free people there that have got fights that are easy to make as such. So when you look down, and I really thought it was important for Joe to fight a southpaw. So Joe fought a southpaw the last time. It was Lemroy Thomas, which was a considerable amount of time ago now. I think it was about 4 years ago. So looking at that, I was like, wow, that's a long time to have not fought a southpaw, to then potentially fight one of the big boys in the summer, which is going to be obviously Fury or Usyk, whoever wins that bout. And you haven't fought a southpaw for all that time. And I think that'd be a bit irresponsible on our behalf to have not put Joe in there for southpaw again. Well, world level, he's never fought a world level southpaw in the pros. Obviously, he fought Usyk and other good southpaws in the amateurs, but as a pro, he hasn't. Because Lemroy Thomas is obviously Commonwealth title level. That's why that's all he ever achieved. But yeah, he hasn't fought a world level southpaw yet. So when you look at the WBO rankings, there's only 2 southpaws in there, and one of them is Wilding. And if I'm being honest, it seems like he kind of priced himself out of fights. And so yeah, that fight couldn't really be made. And then the other one is Zhang, who pretty much everyone thought beat Filip Hrgovic. Everyone thought he beat Filip Hrgovic, or at least deserved a draw at the bare minimum. Dropped him in the first round. Performed way better than anyone ever expected to be, including myself. And listen, he's still a world championship medalist. He's still an Olympic silver medalist. He's still done great things in the sport. He's got loads of devastating KO wins. Like, he's a man that has to be respected at the end of the day. He's got fast hands. He's got a lot of good attributes. So, and he's well known to the British audience after fighting on the big Joshua Sky Sports pay-per-view. When was that? September or August, something like that. That was August, wasn't it? So yeah, like, Zhang's well known. So it's a good fight. It keeps the momentum going. It keeps Joe having that high respect for his opponent, knowing that he has to still be his best to beat Zhang. Because believe me, you go in there 70-80% against Zhang with the power he's got and the speed. He's a dangerous man, and he showed that against Hrgovic. No one thought he'd have put Hrgovic on the deck in the first round and beaten him over 12 rounds, whether the judges gave it to him or not. You know, so he's a dangerous man who has to be respected. And in Zhang's head, he probably thinks it's his last chance saloon.
Yeah.
At world level, he's 39. Listen, no one wanted to fight him anyway. The top names that have avoided Zhang for this fight. There's quite a few.
It's a big old lump, into Shane. What is he, 6'6" and about 20 stone?
Yeah, and he can bang. Listen, he might not have the greatest engine in the world. Yeah, I get that. But listen, he's a live dog. He can bang, and he can put his shots together as well. Make no mistake about it. But he's a top fighter. He's a genuine top 10, maybe top 12 heavyweight fighter. Like, he would beat a lot of these big names, you know. He would. If he gets, it's the only thing with Zhang, he don't give him the opportunity because he's dangerous. Like, mate, I'm telling you now, there's some big names that were offered him to fight in April and they turned it down. So believe me, like, this guy is a real threat. And the only one, and the reason why Zhang's had to fight Joyce is because no one else wanted to fight him. Because believe me, Zhang don't really want to fight Joyce anyway. But it's his last chance to get a world title shot realistically. Because he beats Joe, then he's number one. So he's given himself an opportunity there. So it's a dangerous fight, even on that alone. Joe's got people going to perform an extra 20 or 30% better than what they ever have done now. Because it's that golden ticket to the world heavyweight scene, which is what everyone wants in their career, isn't it? What everyone's destined to get to. So, listen, all of those things put together, he's a dangerous man. So, and he'll be even better than he was in that Hergovich fight, because he might not completely believe in himself before that. He hadn't boxed that level as a pro yet either and whatnot. Now he knows that he's a world level. He might have fought it before, but now he knows he is. And he knows he should have been Hergovich, and he'll take confidence from that fight. So he's going to be a dangerous man. He's going to be a dangerous man, mate. So we're fully respecting him. That's why we're out here. Joe's spending a lot of money on his training camp. We're spending a lot of money on his training camp because we fully respect Zhang. We're going to be out here for 2 months. I mean, away from our friends, family, everything. So we fully respect Zhang and what he brings to the table, and we're expecting a very exciting night. Non-pay-per-view as well, which is great for the fans. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to April the 15th. Save the date on the diary. It's going to be a big night, and I'm confident we'll get the W.
So obviously he's not going to look past Zhang, but I just want to touch on Tottenham Hotspur and Tyson Fury fought last, and when Joyce jumped on the apron, which I thought was brilliant to see, by the way. Obviously we expect Joyce to come through this. When do you think he'll get his hands on to Tyson Fury then, Shane? How does that play out?
So I believe, right, this is, as far as I know, this is what I believe, right, that the mandatory slot for Joe will get called if no fight is made by them, which it won't, because obviously we're fighting on April the 15th, March 26th, 29th, it's one of the two. Then it's like the whole negotiation period. What obviously is going to happen, because Undisputed's happening, that gets kind of put on pause, yeah? Like, there's obviously exceptions and being Undisputed. And listen, we're advocates for the sport as well. Like, we want to see Undisputed happen as well, right? Like, we're all in the sport for the right reasons. Listen, Joe deserves his shot and he'll get his shot. But certain things are good for boxing, especially when you're seeing all of this influencer boxing and all this other stuff these days. Certain things are important for the sport and the growth of the sport as well. And that is absolutely vital for the sport, especially the times that we're in right now, yeah? So, bearing that in mind, obviously we want to see Undisputed happen. And it's better for Joe when he fights the Undisputed winner anyway. So, if that happens, end of April, just by reading the reports, what I'm seeing online. I don't know anything more than what anyone else knows. But and then I would like to think Joe gets his big world title shot in August. That's what I'd like to think, and I'm hoping Tyson Fury wins, because that's a monster fight. Fury Joyce at like a Wembley Stadium, a Tottenham Hotspur, Emirates, Old Trafford. I know Fury's always wanted to fight at Old Trafford. It's in a good time of year as well, because you can get that on before the league comes back. So stadiums are available. And obviously teams like Man United and even the other big clubs I just mentioned, they will go abroad for their pre-seasons anyway, don't they? So like Korea and Asia and America and whatnot. So yeah, there's a lot of availability around those kind of dates. So that's what we'd want. That's the dream. That's what Joyce deserves. That's what Fury deserves as well. So hopefully that's what can happen. And if Usyk wins, then it's up to Usyk if he wants to defend the WBO title against us. And if he doesn't, he's got to give it up. And then if he gives it up, then we get installed as heavyweight world champion, which is not the way that we want to become world champion, because Joe's a fighting man. He's a proud man as well. But then again, coming off of Joe's record, if he was to get installed as world heavyweight champion, I think his record after 16 pro fights, which would be after Zhang, is more than okay for him to get installed as world champion. Do you know what I mean? Beating Parker, beating Dubois, beating Carlos Takam, beating Brian Jennings, beating Zhang, all in 16 pro fights. I think, like, fighting in, even just from the beginning, Ewan Nielsen in a debut, then becoming the fastest ever Commonwealth heavyweight champion in 4 fights. Like, putting all that stuff together, I think it would be more than reasonable to install him. But like I said, we want to win it the proper way, and we want to be in the biggest and best fights possible. And I think, looking at Joe's record and who he's beaten and fought, I think he was obviously shown that himself. He could have fought anyone this fight. He could have had a rematch with Christian Lara if he wanted to. He could have done whatever he wanted. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's mandatory no matter what. He don't even have to fight. He can just wait. But Joe wants to keep fighting at the top level. He wants to keep giving the fans entertaining fights. He wants to keep building his name and profile, and he wants to stay ready. You fight the good names and good tests still. It keeps you ready. It keeps you at world level.
Yeah.
You take it down a few pegs. It's almost like you're then going to come down a few pegs. Like Joe's a buzz fighter. You see him. You see that against Dubois and Parker. Some of his non-prettiest performances have come at the lower level guys because he's just not. He just hasn't got maybe the respect or the attention span he should have because he knows he's above that.
Well, nobody's done that. Nobody's done that to Parker, have they, Shane?
No, exactly that. So yeah, so no, I'm excited, man. But yeah, that's the ideal way I see the picture playing out. Listen, it doesn't always end up that way, but I'm quite confident that's the way it's going to end up. Like, listen, we've got the same promoter with Fury, so it's a very easy in-house fight to make. Obviously, same broadcaster as well. So there's not many arguments or discussions that really have to take place. All it is you have to do is agree a split, which is what Adam does. I don't really deal with that stuff, but. And Joe, obviously, because it's his career and his money. So and it's a very easy fight to make. And Fury seems like he's up for fighting Joe. He mentioned him a lot. So and Fury's a fighting man himself. So yeah, that's the way I see it. But first and foremost, we've got to beat Zhang, and Fury's got to be Usyk. And by no means either of those fights are not easy. And it's not a foregone conclusion. So we have to wait and see. But that's the way I'd like to see it go anyway.
Shane, it's a real balancing act. With Joe being in the mandatory spot. He's been in that WBO spot for quite some time now. And it's a real balancing act. He obviously wants to keep that spot, but he wants to keep right, as you've rightly said already, at the top of his game. How difficult is it picking the right opponent so that he still keeps at top end form?
Yeah.
But there's obviously that like I said, there's that concern that if he does end up getting a loss, that he's losing that big thing that he's always been waiting for, which is a big shot at the title.
What you got to look at it is, right, we're not going to take a Fury or Usyk fight unless we believe Joe can win. Yeah, like, I'm not just saying this. Like, obviously, there's going to be a nice pay packet that comes out of these fights. Yeah. And money's important for everyone. It's a business as well. Listen, Joe's got a whole life ahead of him that he's going to want to financially secure himself for, and a family that he's going to want to secure as well, and whatnot, and whatever he wants to do in his life after boxing. But we will never take a fight unless we genuinely believe Joyce can win, yeah? So, that in mind, if we can't beat Zhang, and if we can't beat whoever else gets put forward to us, then we can forget about fighting Fury and Usyk anyway, because it weren't going to happen, was it? Like, we're not just there to make up the numbers and Joe to lose on a 12-round decision, because they ain't going to knock him out. Like, we're there to go there and win the fight and knock out, whether it's Fury, whether it's Usyk. And that's honestly the game plan, that's the mindset. Like, there's not one bit in Joe's mind where he doesn't think he can't beat them. And beat them well as well. Like, listen, he's not delusional. He knows they're going to be by far the toughest fights of his life, let alone his career. But it's what you're in the sport for. Like I said, like, if you believe that you can beat those two guys, and you should be beating Zhang well, and you should be beating whoever else gets put forward well. Zhang is just the best possible opponent that would accept the fight. That's the bottom line. Like, Dylan White ain't going to accept the fight, is he? Like, Dubois, like, he's got some things he needs to deal with himself, like, I think, personally. Like, you've got... that might be a big rematch in the future as well. If we can get Joe to a world champion and Dubois doesn't lose before then, that could be a big rematch in the stadium as well. So, and then you've got, like, the likes of Wilder and that afterwards as well. But yeah, if you don't believe you're going to beat someone like Zhang and that now, then why are we fighting Fury? So that's just the mindset from everyone. Like, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you see what people like. This is where I believe. This is my personal belief here, where people like Yard and maybe, I don't know who Callum Smith's opponent is yet, but some other guys have gone maybe a bit wrong in the past here. Like, you see Yard, he got a great win against Lyndon Arthur, looked unbelievable. Fair play to him. Fair play to Frank Warren getting in the rematch, and Tunde, who I know is his manager as well. And he looked unbelievable that night. They got him in great shape, great stead, and he took Linda after apart, in a fight that I think Yard was probably the underdog in. And then and got him back to number 1 status, right? So that was the big main important thing, getting in that slot, which eventually got him a world title shot. But then he didn't fight for so long. And then who he did fight, like, I ain't being rude, he got beaten by a journeyman, like an actual journeyman, that bloke, right? So, like, what do you really take from that? That doesn't get rid of your ring rust, for starters, because you've just gone in there and knocked over, without being disrespectful again, a very low-rated and low-ability fighter. That doesn't get you ready for the top level of the sport. That does not get you ready. Like, trust me, Joe saw the level from fighting Hammer and from fighting even Dubois and other guys to fighting Parker. That was a massive jump, and he saw it in the ring. But lucky enough for Joe, he's actually, like I said, he's a buzz fighter. He will perform higher at the highest level because he knows what it takes to get to the highest level. Look what he did as an amateur, and he competed high level in other sports, in sprinting, in long jump, in shot put, in other sports like rugby. He's competed at high level and in a lot of other sports before he even tried boxing, capoeira, jiu-jitsu, all kinds of things. Like, so he understands what it takes to get to the top level of sports and the commitment it takes and the jumps and the amount of different levels there are. And I think that's what some fighters, I just don't understand why. If you really believed you were elite level and you can beat anyone on your best day, then why are you fighting guys where the result's almost written before because you know what's going to happen? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know you're going to beat that guy and you know you're going to knock that guy out. So, but I don't know. Maybe it's just our way of doing it. Maybe people have just got their own way of doing it. Listen, Yard still gave a great account of himself and done a good job and made himself proud and showed a true fighting spirit. So I'm not discrediting what they've done at all because they've done amazing and great corner work from Tunde the other night as well. Shout out to him. But I know Frank Warren did a great job of them moving forward. I'm hearing something about the Joe Smith Jr. fight. I see him say that in an interview over there. It'd be a great fight for him. But I just think, for me, if you want to go in there ready against someone level with Fury and give yourself the best possible chance, or Usyk, you need to be fighting top level guys. So that's it. And it's not just that. Like, the fans, you want to get the fans on your side as well. And you want to make yourself a big draw. You've got to keep, like, fans are not stupid. They know when you're fighting a dummy fight and when you're not. Yeah. Like, so the reaction's been so good to Zhang because people know that's a real fight. They know it's tough. So, and they know it's going to be an absolute war. Like, two big guys just tough and strong, crunching off of each other. So, like, and the fans respect that. So that's why everyone loves Joe Joyce right now, and he's like a fan favourite. Yeah. He keeps delivering for the fans. And this one's not on pay-per-view. So again, delivering for the fans. Fair play again to Frank Warren and BT for backing Joe like that as well. So it's good. It should be good, very good viewing figures. So yeah, that's what it is to say on it, really. But I know what you're saying. Like, obviously, there is always a risk, but it's heavyweight boxing at the top level. You're always going to have that risk. But we believe in our man. Ismail Salas believes in his man. And he knows more about boxing than I'll ever know. So that's what we're in the game for. And listen, Joe wants to earn good money as well. You're not going to earn good money and keep the fans on your side and build your own profile if you're fighting nobody. So you just got to keep going and keep. And you know what it is with Joe, like I said before, he wouldn't respect. I think almost it'd be more of a risk in a way getting a lower level guy in.
I agree,
because he just wouldn't respect it. He wouldn't, and he's such a respectful guy. It's not like he wouldn't respect him, but he wouldn't get to the intense level of training, like just mentally, knowing that he could beat this guy on his worst day. So it's just all of those things into one, really, and then you end up with Zilly Zhang, basically. That's it.
Shane, sorry, Cole. Shane, I'm sure you've got an A, B, and C plan depending on how things pan out for Joe. There's obviously the potential as well of the rematch clause situation, which frustrates me a lot in boxing. That could happen, and then the potential of the Joe fight happening in August, like you say, could get pushed back. What would you do in that circumstance? Would you give him another fight in between, or would you just wait for that shot?
From what I gather, and listen, don't quote me on this because I'm not 1,000,000% clear. Like I said, the Fury Usyk fight isn't even completely done yet, so you never really know what's going to happen. Who even knows that fight's going to happen? Do you know what I mean? Like, but like, I believe it will. But I'm just saying, I'm hypothetically speaking. But you know, I believe that it's only undisputed for the first fight, and then the belts are going to become stripped anyway.
Yeah, that's
which, if I'm actually being honest, would probably work out better in Joe's favour to an extent. It depends on where you look at it, yeah? If Joe goes into a fight against one of those two as a world champion, obviously you've got a good argument for why he should get paid more money now, yeah? And then Joe becomes a superstar in his own right as well. I believe he's a superstar now, but an even bigger superstar. And obviously, and then he's a wide weight champion as well, like for the rest of your life, no matter what. Like, that's just something no one can ever take away from you, yeah? But I would rather Joe beat an undefeated Tyson Fury, because then like no one can make any excuses or anything like that. And like Fury would lose a lot of value if he'd lost. So like looking at it that way, that wouldn't be ideal. I don't know if the rematch clause is both ways. I'm sure I got told it was only one way, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just saying what I see online. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case. I ain't got any inside information. I don't know anyone that's telling me anything that seems to know it anyway. Not that I'm really overly bothered, because I'm trying to focus on what's going on here. But if that rematch happens, then I would like to think that we can get something done with Joe fighting for the WBO world title after that, then, because the fight doesn't need to be undisputed twice for it to be a big fight. Do you know what I mean? I think just having the undisputed once, and as long as there's a clear winner and like not a draw or something, then I guess you've got an undisputed champion and it's in the record books. I think that's all they really wanted it for, because the last undisputed champion was Lennox Lewis, obviously. So we've never had a 4-belt open era undisputed champion, so that's another one to tick off. So, but yeah, but we have to see how it unfolds, man. Like I said, there's so much things are going to probably change and happen between now and then, but that's just the way I see it going. But we'll see.
I don't want to keep it much longer, Shane, but quick whistle stop tour around some of your other stable. Lerone Richards, where are we with Lerone? Obviously, he had an accident in the hotel room, is what we understand.
Yeah.
Prior to the Chelly fight.
Yeah.
So, any plans for Lerone Richards?
Yeah. Currently searching for a new trainer. Obviously, he's left Dave Coldwell, so he's having a few trials, working out what's going on there. That's the most important thing first and foremost. Then we'll start whispering to guys and finding out when and where we can get them out to, what kind of opponent we're looking at. But it's all still early days, if I'm being honest. So hopefully we can get something on the trainer side and on the promotional side in the next couple of weeks, I would hope, because he needs to get moving with his career as well and get him active and get him fighting again. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with him, really.
Am I right in thinking that was a 1-fight deal with Boxer?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't even like a 1-fight promotion deal. It was just a good fight for them, two British super middleweights going up against each other that genuinely don't like each other. And that was all it really was. And I think that we were maybe going to discuss about things moving forward, bearing in mind their own one. But obviously it never happened. We never actually got to fight. And for a long period of that time, we were just checking in, make sure Lerone was okay. And then we had the training situation to deal with as well. That's not always easy. So, and then moving forward from that, we just had to... we have to now find him a new trainer that he's happy with and works with. I know he's enjoyed one trial that he's had so far with someone. And then get him a promoter and get him an actual fight day and have a comeback fight to get rid of a ring rust and then have a big fight.
Yeah, brilliant. And then one of my favourites of recent times, Johnny Fisher.
Yeah, someone for ball. He's here actually. He's in the house.
Yeah, quite interesting that people didn't think he could sell tickets north of the country, and then he goes to Sheffield and flogs God knows how many tickets again, didn't he, for the Sheffield show? So he's a big draw, Johnny Fisher, isn't he?
Listen, Johnny Fisher can sell more tickets than what you see at these shows as well. Unfortunately, sometimes he gets he hasn't had enough time to sell all of his tickets, but believe me, he can sell out some serious arenas, man. Tomorrow we're actually he's meeting Chris Lovejoy for the first time. We're gonna do he's on a live podcast. He's on a live podcast with Christopher Lovejoy tomorrow. They're gonna go head to head for the first time in the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas. And then we're going to hopefully start building a big fight that can be made for this year. And that fight could sell at Leyton Orient Stadium, which was where Big John, his dad, actually played for as a reserve. So that'd be quite a big thing for him and his family to do that. And it's like, I know Leyton Orient might not be Wembley, but to do that so early on in your career with no amateur background and like fighting at what level that is, that's pretty much unheard of. So, And then you do that in a stadium against Christopher Lovejoy and knock him out, which I believe he could do. listen, he's obviously got a fight before that he needs to win first and foremost. And that really puts you like towards that star status, you know. Like, so it's a really exciting times to be working with Johnny Fisher. Exciting times to be a Johnny Fisher fan as well, because you know what, the story's so amazing, and like how everything's going with that kind of a story as well. Because listen, it was only a couple of years ago he was selling meat out of a van with his dad, and now he's going on to be a superstar in his own right, and he's a very good fighter as well. You know, you watch him spar against Takam and all these other big good names, Fury, Joyce, and he's more than holding his own in these spars. So like, people talk about him, but his level is very good, and I know at 23 years of age, in 4 or 5 years' time, he's going to be a serious problem at a high level. So it's an exciting ride to watch, really.
And he's very, very relatable, Shane, isn't he? He's very relatable to the fans. You know, the fans love him, don't they?
Yeah, because he's just a down-to-earth geezer. Like, you go out of him anywhere. He's so normal. And it's actually a credit to his dad. He's the exact same as well. Like, that's the way he brought him up with good values and morals. He's just a normal guy, man, that loves boxing, that loves helping people, loves being a nice person, loves hanging out with normal people. Just the kind of guys they are. Like, he's very down to earth, and it's kind of helped bring him on so quick. He listens to people.
Yeah,
he's always open to advice. He's always open to improve himself. Listen, he spends a lot of money to come out here to Vegas as well, and improve himself. Spar the best guys. He comes out without a trainer as well, so it's like not the easiest situation to be in. But he's just happy to go in there and align Zen and improve himself and spar some of the top names in the sport. And that's why he improved so much so quickly. Look at when Adelaide fought Dominic Musil. The hell Musil gave him for 4 rounds. Arguably could have been up after 4 rounds. Johnny Fisher goes in there and splatters him in about 40 seconds, and everyone calls him shit. Like, that's the kind of shit that Johnny Fisher gets. But David Adelaide's meant to be really good. I thought, well, which one is it then? It can't be one or the other. Surely it's got to be both.
Yeah. But here's a legend. Very, 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 very good fighter. Very good fighter. Getting better all the time. So,
100%.
Florian Marku then, Shane.
Yeah.
Where are we with Florian?
He is currently overcoming a hand injury. It was quite a bad one as well. Reoccurring as well, which is not ideal. But I believe we've got it done properly this time, which is good. And I'm expecting a May return. He can start punching later this month, I believe. So I'm expecting a May return, and I'm looking for a decent level opponent, really.
Brilliant. John Hedges?
John Hedges, a big fight announcement. Well, not a big fight announcement. He's stepping up to 8 rounds, but he's fighting on a massive card very soon. So he have an announcement on that in the next couple of weeks, I should hope. Or next week or so.
A fighter I think looks really class there. Junaid Boston.
Who?
Boston?
Oh, yeah, Junaid Boston. Yeah.
It's my Nottingham accent, sorry. So, so obviously, what are the plans for Boston?
Yeah, he will be fighting on February the 18th. He'll be fighting his first 8-rounder, stepping up against another tough guy. And there'll be some fight news on him fighting again a couple of months afterwards. So we've got him really busy with his next couple of fight dates. And we'll be looking to push him on quite soon, actually, because he's already fought some really tough guys early on and knocked them all out as well. But he, even at only 20, well, he'll be 21 very soon. He wants to fight anyone and everyone, man. He's already talking about wanting to fight Sam Gilly for the English title right now. So it's more holding him back than anything. He wants to fight some 17-0 guy with 16 KOs the other day. But I'm like, more than holding him back. He's good enough to beat these guys now. He'll beat Sam Gilly now, but but you've got to preserve these guys. He's got a long career ahead of him. If you're having hard 10-rounders and 12-rounders now, and you've only ever done 6-rounders in your career, you're not going to have a very long career. That's just the bottom of it, like the sparring and everything. So he's still a young man. So we've got a lot of time ahead of us. So we'll jump at the bigger fights when the time's right. But yeah, you'll have another busy year, getting his name out there, more KOs, and then we'll look towards title towards the end of the year. I wouldn't say no to an English title towards the end of the year, given it was the right opportunity. So that's what we'll look at for him.
Very impressive, very impressive. Tommy Fletcher, obviously he was recently out. What does his year look like moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really want to fight Daryl Sharp in the last fight because you know what he was going to get. A completely negative fighter.
Difficult, isn't it?
Who's incredibly tough, and his record looks awful, but it's just, that's what it is, just frustrating. Like, Tommy Fletcher could be pound for pound the biggest puncher we have, and I think he actually is, yeah. That's including Joyce, and that's including Johnny, who can seriously crack as well. But he punches unbelievably hard. Like, I've seen him knock out really good level heavyweights and stuff in sparring. Like, this guy is a real deal, man. But yeah, it just wasn't the opponent you need. But no one, and I mean, over 38 people turned down the fight with him, and some of them of a decent level as well. Like, but yeah, we had to end up. He was the last option I really wanted, Daryl Sharp, and we had to go with the last option, unfortunately. But it's still 6 rounds under his belt and a good learning fight for him.
Yeah.
So take that from it. But yeah, I hope that we can get him out on an undercard soon. Maybe a Joyce card, hopefully. Joyce against Zhang, or if not, another April card if Frank Warren have got any other shows in April, which I'm sure they probably will do. So yeah, like, that's just got to get him out, keep him active, keep him getting the rounds in, keep him learning, and maybe have his first title shot next year or something.
Lisa Whiteside, what are the plans for Lisa?
So she was supposed to fight for a title in February on a Pro Benham show, but if I'm being honest, I'm not overly sure what the situation is with them. I'm just being completely honest. I actually don't know. So, but yeah, we're talking a little bit about when we're going to get her next out and try and get something sorted. But the aim for Lisa Whiteside is to make her a world champion this year. So
yeah. And last but not least, obviously Solomon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for Soul Acres, man. We've got English title shot against Robert Ismay in March, which Robert is 11-0. Knocked out Josh Saturn and some other half decent guys. This is a real opportunity for Soul to announce himself as heavyweight on the big scene, because a big KO against Robert Ismay can really put the pressure on the Fabio Wardley fight, Fraser Clark, if the British title becomes vacant. All these guys, man. The Soul Acres is the most talented British heavyweight at that level so far right now, yeah. No one's got the boxing ability like him, and chin like him, and the boxing know-how. Like, he's crafty, like, I like it, like, he's just good. But he hasn't been given the opponents that he should have been. Number one, because any opponent that I get that would look good for him pulls out within a week of the fight, so we have to fight people like Baraka Bonte last minute, which is never ideal for anyone. And then, and like Espindola and that before, but it's just never ideal. But this is the right opponent for him, and if he can get a big KO win for the English heavyweight title, that puts him in a really good position moving forward with all of the bigger names. So,
and then just coming away from his stable, last 2 questions, I promise. Prediction for Leewood versus Mauricio Lara. Obviously, me and Andy got some local interest in that.
Oh, it's a tough one. I'm back in Leewood, man. You know what? Every time I'm back against him, he's done the job, yeah. And also, I think Leewood's got a bit better boxing ability than him. Like, he's got a better jab. I feel like he's got a way faster hand. Richard R is quite slow, and I feel like that fight ain't gonna go long either way. So I feel like if Leewood can get to him early, he can knock him out early doors, and that's probably what he needs to do. Because the longer that fight goes on, the more dangerous it gets for Leewood, in my opinion. But then saying that, Leewood a lot of the time gets his knockouts quite late on in fights. So you look at Conlon, it was late doors. Kanzu, late doors. Reese Mould, what was that, round 8?
Yeah.
Like, in the late half of the fight, like.
And then
does Leewood possess the power to iron out people early doors, or is it more the power that grinds them down? I don't know. You know, it's a great fight. It's a really good fight, and a fight Leewood really didn't need to take. So credit to him, but he's like the boogeyman at division level. I forget that, but that's a great fight, man. So fair play to him for taking it. I hope Leewood can get the job done.
And then last one from me. What's your view on these Misfit fights and Fury versus Jake Paul fights, and where does it belong, Shane?
You know what? If I'd be a liar if I said I wasn't remotely interested in it. Listen, I'm not watching Misfits show yet. And I'm just being honest. I actually haven't watched one yet. But there's obviously a lot of money in that industry, and they're obviously producing great numbers. So from that perspective, who would I be to slate them and discredit them at all? Because it's a business at the end of the day. People earn money. You need to provide for your broadcaster. So that ticks all of those boxes for sure. But from being a hardcore boxing fan myself, and thinking about the future of the sport, like the professional sport, it is harmful because these shows keep clashing with other shows, and the other shows are going to do poor viewing figures, and the media are going to be in a position where they're not nowhere to go and things like that, and then it kills the bigger end of sport because the reality is a world title fight is going to cost way more money than what a Misfits fight is going to cost, and then but the Misfits fight is going to do triple the viewing figures. Then you're in a real bad position. You don't really know what to do. And the broadcasters, a lot of the times, only going to back where the money and the business are coming from. So it's got pros and it's got cons, and that's basically the pros and the cons moving forward from it, really. But the Fury Paul one's a little bit different because they've both fought pro boxing. They both are still fighting only pro boxing. I know that Tommy had that exhibition, but that's because his opponent pulled out 2 days before. That was like 5-1 or something, or 5-2, whatever it was. So, I mean, obviously exceptions can be made, whatever. But that's actually like at least they fight at some sort of a level. Do you know what I mean? It's not like some random YouTuber or influencer coming in and who's never fought before and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? So, and actually, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking forward to it myself. So, because I am. So, and I'll definitely be paying to watch it. So, and they got good fights in the undercard for that as well. You know, like Makabu and Baddy Jack. Like, so, do you know what I mean? It's still the right environment. So, and that's going to benefit some of the pro guys on that card. So, you know, so I can't be against it because there definitely benefits them there for pro boxing as well. So, yeah, I'm all for it really. Like, and that's the top level of that world as well. Like,
yeah.
So I have to respect him. I respect the graft that Jake Paul's put into boxing as well. Like, he does work hard. He does back himself. He clearly believes in himself, and he's fighting a fairly good, okay level pro. So like, you have to back him for that. For someone who only boxed for a few years, so I can't really critic himself. I can't really be a critic of him really. So fair play to him, and he's bringing a lot of eyes and money to the sport at a pro level. And like I said, he can have world titles in the undercard. So in all, it's quite good, really, isn't it?
Who wins, Shane?
Tommy Fury, man. I don't think it'd be close. Like, I've known Tommy since he's about 14, 15 years old, and he was sparking out people in the amateurs and sparring like grown men and that. Like, I think he would have been able to got the job done back then, let alone now. Like, I think people just get mixed up with Tommy, like, because of his fight with Jordan Bryant. By the way, he's an okay level pro, and like he beat another guy 10-1, Daniel Bokanowski. Like, listen, there might not be world level guys or any kind of title level guys, but they're still good, okay level pros. You know what I mean?
We're up to the 40-minute mark, so we'll call it to bring it to an end there. Okay, just want to thank you for joining us tonight. Much appreciated taking time out of your day, and we'll catch up with you soon on Last Bell Boxing. Thank you very much.